What an experience it is to marry a snake girl as a wife. The night of the wedding. You forced her to show her serpent's tail. Look at the snake woman's slender waist. Hereinafter. All of them turned into a snake body glowing with white light. The tip of the tail is restless and flicks around on the ground. Her temperament has also changed dramatically as a result. From the previous well-behaved. It can even be said to be a little cute. Turned into a complete queen-like. Especially those narrow beautiful eyes look at you coldly. Isn't this Queen Medusa? It's just a pair of rests in the cold bushes. And the blush on the face of that glamorous face. It's even more addictive. Queen of Raiders. That's pretty awesome. You crossed over here 3 days ago. I was a scholar before this body. When crossing the bridge, I was accidentally scared to death by a water ghost. Just as you wait to merge with the scholar's memories all. The door was slammed open. An old man hurriedly ran in and said, "Oops." The matchmakers brought in a new daughter-in-law. Why are you still dozing off here? Follow the old man to the ancestral hall of the village. There are already a lot of people gathered here. Waiting to see the lively villagers. See me coming. The village chief pointed to the stool in front of him and said, "Let's sit down. What did you hit the evil one the other day? Choose a good daughter-in-law this time for you. Maybe you'll get better sooner." Just when I was confused. Li Guanhan, the village head, said to the matchmaker on the side. "Take the girl with you." With a hello. A line of women came out of a corner. I saw one of them extremely beautiful women. It instantly attracted everyone's attention. The most bewitching thing is the woman's pair of buckets. It's not the human eye. It's these strange buckets. Let this woman attract the attention of everyone in the audience. What kind of world is this? Just as I was staring at this woman in a daze. There are people in the village who are not happy. Matchmaker, what's going on with you? It's not taking our 10 villages seriously. Let's have these 10 villages. Anyway, it's also a village that has issued a county order. Why did you bring a snake girl? And the matchmaker who followed along. Come out immediately and play the round field and say oops. I said, "Gentlemen. Look at this. Is this your average snake girl?" I said no. I haven't met anyone who is half as good looking as her in so many years. And this court has been talking about it for several years. It doesn't matter if it's a human or a demon. They are all subjects of the divine empire. The matchmaker didn't want to bring a snake girl with her. It's a bit of a smash your own signboard. But who let his youngest son bump into something some time ago? I can't look at anyone who can see it. It was his Su Lian's mother who cured him. Su Lian's mother doesn't want anything. He will tell his daughter himself. The matchmaker saw that Su Lian looked really good. Pretty this is brought out to give it a try. As a result, I went to more than a dozen villages, but they were all disliked. Listen to the matchmaker's words. Some old ladies couldn't help but pout. What's the use of just being handsome? Look at these little arms and legs. I can't do any work when I get married. And it's too demonic. If such a woman marries into the village, can a man in his own family still have the heart to be at home? Don't say anything else. From the time this woman came out to the present, the eyes of his own man never left this woman. And for the women of the village, Su Lian, who was standing at the end of the crowd, lowered her head. Whispered that I could do the job. He will also serve people. I am the eldest daughter in my family. I did all the work at home. And the crowd didn't listen at all. It's all about picking on Su Lian's reasoning. Just when I was looking at Su Lian in a daze. Suddenly, he was poked by the person next to him. A lady next to her looked funny and said, "What are you looking at?" "Not yet. Don't say anything this time. This is the last batch of the year. If you can't find it, you'll have to wait until next year." I turned my head to see the unmarried men in the village. They had already come forward to talk to the girls. But these individuals in front of Su Lian. There are a few people in the village who are not motivated. It's not just that the family is so poor that it jingles. I also have a lot of time to hang out all day. Or it's a bad gamble. Few homes are in normal condition. Just ready to pass. Was scolded back by his own mother. I got up and walked towards Su Lian. At this time, Su Lian looked in front of her. A few men who accosted him. Some scared. These people are not good in physiognomy. The questions asked are also difficult to ask. Especially the look of lust. At first glance, he is not a serious person. But Su Lian also knows. You can't marry a good person with such an identity. And in Su Lian. When he looked at the few people in front of him with some fear. A hand pulled several people away from behind. Straight to the girl. Do you think I'm suitable? Su Lian looked up at the comber. Compared to others, this person is good looking. A bookish angry. I suddenly cut in line. Naturally, several other people were very unhappy. One even raised eyebrows and shouted, "Look. First come, first served. You know, I'm a little funny. How can this come first and come later?" And Su Lian, who originally had no hope for this matter. On the arrival of the meeting, the beautiful and charming eyes suddenly lit up. This scene was naturally seen by several men next to him. When even if it's my old bottom, don't look at her like a dog. If it's useless, he'll read a few broken books. My family is poorer than us. And for the long way, Su Lian is still very satisfied. It doesn't matter if you're poor. It's good to be decent. It's not like when other men look at her. The squinting eyes. It's really uncomfortable. Su Lian didn't think about it. What rich family can I marry? Xiao was looked at by my fiery eyes. Su Lian was inexplicably a little shy. Bow your head and say, "It's good if you don't dislike me." The next second, I just grabbed Su Lian's little tender hand directly. He turned his head to look at the village chief sitting in the middle and said, "I want to marry her." With my words finished, a cold voice rang in my head. Congratulations to the host for triggering a 9x reward. Receive the Eucharist 100,000 taels of silver. Rewards have been distributed to the host system space. The host is readily available. And after I finished speaking, the whole village was silent. No one thought that I would choose Su Lian. After all, the worst thing in this is this Su Lian. For a while, everyone started talking. Mainly said that Su Lian was a lowly snake girl. Not a serious person. The atmosphere is positive. There has never been a goblin bridging. And this little thin arm and small thin leg. I won't be able to work in the future. Everyone is persuading Lu Yuan not to choose blindly. You said you just hit the blood some time ago. How dare you take such a thing? And I just took Su Lian's little hand. Standing in the middle of the crowd and staring coldly. Not before. I still feel that the people in this village are good for themselves. But now after fusing all the memories, I know there aren't many good things in this village. When the crowd is noisy, I slammed the table down. He'll marry a daughter-in-law. I still need you to talk nonsense. I'm here to let you know. It's not for you to agree. Seeing yourself a man assert himself like this. Su Lian's heart was sweet. And the people in the village were surprised. Usually the most stuffy and soft person. Now I dare to slap the table. Everyone just thinks. Lu Yuan was fascinated by this little goblin. This is if you marry in the future. Own man. I'm afraid I'm going to be hooked away by this little goblin. Immediately, some of the big ladies were Dr. Louder. And for these people. Words. I tilted my head and laughed and said with a smile. I am married to this daughter-in-law. It's okay if you don't let me marry. Then he'll go. Before I left, I had to take my grandfather with me. I've just finished my sentence. The village chief who had been silent. But he slammed the table and looked at me. Angry and silent. How many years has the old lady been there first? You want to disturb his old man now. You just honor your grandfather like this. And I look like a dead pig who is not afraid of boiling water. Raise eyebrows and talk less nonsense. You can tell me if this daughter-in-law can be married. Can you live here after you get married? I don't take her as the village chief seriously. The appearance is really angry enough for the village chief. But it seems that I am really afraid of my eyes. Remove the old lattice grave. In the end, I gritted my teeth. Dao, your Lu family, you are the only one now. Of course, it's up to you. Everyone is just doing it for your own good. If you don't listen, forget it. Seeing this, I am satisfied. And these old ladies on the side. But I wanted to say something more. Just doesn't want Su Lian to marry in. But the village chief can only appease. But they didn't dare to tell me more. At this time, the matchmaker appeared again. A cautious expression appeared on his face. The owner of the road. There's one more thing I haven't told you. I turned my head and looked at the matchmaker strangely. At this time, I felt that I was holding Su Lian. My body trembled a little. When I turned my head, I saw Su Lian with her head down. Looks a little scared. At this time, the matchmaker hurriedly said, "Don't be afraid, owner. Li Yan, this kid is absolutely hardworking. There is no disease. That's it, she has atavistic signs. What is atavistic that? After hearing this, the big ladies on the side, almost instantaneously, a sigh of relief. Atavism, what a bad luck this is. And everyone looked at me with a look of bewilderment. Immediately. It's just that the eldest lady pouted and said, "Do you still read so many books? Even this? I don't know." Atavism is to suddenly become like their ancestors. At this time, Su Lian was flustered. Hurriedly looked up and explained, "I only returned to my ancestors, the lower half of my body. It's not going to be a whole atavism." And was attracted by Su Lian's beauty before the few people who want to marry her. After hearing about the atavism, he immediately gave up. After all, who wants to wake up every morning and see there was a big snake lying next to it? How scary. At this time, Su Lian looked at me pitifully. "I'm afraid I don't want him." I just stood there and thought. The lower body of the atavistic will turn into a snake. Isn't that Medusa Xiaolinger? Wow, that's cool. Look at my expression. The crowd was a little confused. It's not that this kid seems to be more excited. I looked at Shuzurian again. Xiaolinger is pure. Su Lian is the kind of enchanting and charming royal sister. Think about it. It's a bit like Medusa. Su Lian looked at me with a stunned face at this time. I don't know though. Why does his man look at himself like this? But Su Lian can see it. The eyes of a man of his own. It's not as disgusting as everyone else. Su Lian, who was extremely happy in her heart. Shai lowered his head. The hand holding me became tighter. I came to my senses. Looking at the village chief with a confused face, he said, "Let's go back first." In the evening, we came to the ancestral hall to worship our ancestors. Remember to leave us the door. After saying that, I pulled Su Lian and left. The matchmaker looked at Su Lian, who obediently followed me. Shouted loudly, "Lian, come out at noon. Tell your aunt where your home is. Auntie, go home and tell your father." Su Lian blushed and looked back at the matchmaker. Nodding his head, he understood. Auntie. Everyone in Shixwang looked at the backs of me and Su Lian. The look is envious of most of the men. It doesn't matter if you give up your daughter or not. Bad luck is not bad luck. Just die like that. It's worth it. And most of the women hate death. But they all have a common doubt. When did this kid become like this? In the past, everyone bullied this kid. Today, I was called by this kid in turn. It's really a last resort in my heart. The world I crossed into was huge. It's weird again. The north of the empire is at war with the orcs. And inside the empire, it's full of all kinds of evil spirits. But there are evil spirits in this world. Naturally, there are ways to cure them. For example, the soldiers who fought on the battlefield. They all crawled out of the sea of corpses and blood. The evil did not dare to come near at all. The monks in those temples. Taoist priest in the temple. There are also means of exterminating evil spirits. And my grandfather used to be the prefectural magistrate here. Although he is an official of the previous dynasty. But it was also canonized. There is official luck on the body. Even if he dies and is buried in a grave. He should also suppress all ghosts and evil spirits. Shixwang is here precisely because my grandfather is here. Therefore, no evil dares to attack and disturb. The evil spirits only dare to wander outside the village. So rely on my grandfather. Shigazwang in a few decades of time. It became a super big village. Hey race, why? The reason why I dared to argue with the village chief just now. As for why there is such an attitude towards the villagers. Purely because of the fusion of memories. Got the thing before. Involuntary disgust. Stuff from your own home. Most of them were fooled away by the villagers. That's all that's left of the brick house. Before that, he was a soft egg scholar. But he was bullied ruthlessly. Even though those things have nothing to do with me now. But I take it in a little. It's not okay to be angry. And I don't plan to live here in the future. In the future, when it is developed, it will definitely have to move away. So there's no need to get used to them. How comfortable you are. Soon I led Su Lian back. Jia Su Lian looked at the brick house in front of her. It's magnificent. Before, others said that their man's family was poor. Su Lian thought it was a small adobe house. I explained with a smile on the side. Didn't my grandfather be a county magistrate before? This is all left by my grandfather. A few years ago, my father and mother were in the south. Halfway through, he was robbed by bandits. Pour this later. Just the two of us. There are no rules. Su Lian looked at me. He nodded stunned. Then he followed me into the courtyard. I was walking on the side ahead. He said that he got up early and came from another village. I haven't eaten it in the morning. Su Lian said these people. If you don't succeed, you will live directly in the man's house. It didn't work out. Just find a roof in the village and spend the night. Get up in the morning and go to the next village. This is coming so early. I guess I didn't eat much in the morning. Su Lian lowered his head. I hummed a little shyly. And I pointed to Kun in the yard. Dao will kill a chicken. He'll make you a chicken soup to drink. You make up for it. You see you're skinny. Su Lian followed suit. He hurriedly raised his head and waved his hand. No need, no need. Just make do with it. I want to live. This one is magnificent. But Su Lian can also see it. It's true that the family is not very wealthy. And for Su Lian, she will live like this. I'm very satisfied. This daughter-in-law is super good at living. Super virtuous and considerate. But so. The chicken is ready to eat today. Immediately I stopped. Look at the one that follows him. Su Lian, who also stopped. Turned his face over. Su Lian watched my face get closer and closer. For a while, the beautiful face instantly turned red. Su Lian, who was extremely shy, just bowed her head slightly. But he didn't dodge. This shy and charming little appearance. It really made me stupid. You eat openly. Our family is actually very rich. In the future, if you follow me, you will eat fragrant and drink spicy food. There is meat to eat every meal. Su Lian listened to her man's words. His face was full of curiosity. Is the family rich? It doesn't look like it. Subsequently, I pulled out 2 large ingots of silver in the system space. Suddenly, 100 tails of silver appeared in front of him. It really startled Su Lian. The silver that Su Lian has seen since she was a child. It doesn't add up to 100 tails. Don't worry about the money. We have something in our family. With that, I put the money away. Didn't give Su Lian. These days, it's the old men who are in charge of money. There is no woman who cares about money. Why don't you call it a shopkeeper? It's such a thing as having money. I'm sure I'm not going to hide it from my daughter-in-law. After all, I will definitely have to eat well in the future. Wine and meat are indispensable. You can't just hide that you have money. Specifically go out to eat. Raise the rope and let your daughter-in-law gnaw the nest at home. First, it's not necessary. Second, it is not so much. After all, this reason is still very easy to make up. Looked at Su Lian's stunned eyes. Don't wait for Su Lian to ask. I said what I had thought about for a long time. Under the pretext, my grandfather is a county magistrate. But the money is not exposed. Plus I used to live by myself. It didn't cost much. Naturally, the people in this village don't know. Marry you now. Naturally, it is also necessary to eat well and use it well. Don't worry about our money. Drinking wine and eating meat every day is enough for us for a lifetime. Say, I just pushed the door and entered the house. And Su Lian stood at the door blankly. The conditions of the men in my family are so good. Then why should a man choose himself? Still stunned for what to do. Come in, there's something to eat in the kitchen. You made some just in time, and I didn't eat it in the morning. Let's have some food together. I went into the house and sat down in the main hall. Don't just Erlang's legs. What are you doing with a daughter-in-law? Isn't it just to serve yourself? Su Lian, who came back to her senses, responded. Come in immediately. Put down the small package you are carrying. Just follow the direction I pointed. I went into the kitchen and got busy. I'm taking advantage of this. The system space is opened. Glanced at the presentation of the Eucharist. Without restraint. All evils do not invade. It looks like it's a prop for this world. After use. I felt a magical power rush into my body. It was as if his body had infinite power. Stay up late reading a book. Some dizzy eyes. Now it's becoming extremely clear. The body is still thin and weak as before. But it seems that he has inexhaustible strength. At this time, Suri Smoke, which had not been in the kitchen for a long time, came out again. Looking at me in the main hall, I was stunned. A little confused. My brother seems to have nothing in the kitchen. Su Lian wanted to call the shopkeeper's husband or something. But Su Lian was still a little embarrassed for a while. In the end, Su Lian called Brother Sheng. And I was stunned. Is there anything in the kitchen? Let's go to the town and eat. Anyway, this new daughter-in-law just entered the door. Buy something new. Joy every day. Su Lian nodded obediently. As soon as I left the door, I felt a weakness in my hands. Turn your head and look. It was to see Su Lian come to his side shyly. He stretched out his small soft hand and held his arm. I didn't have a partner when I was on Earth before. I haven't found anyone to hold hands. I just came here and had such a beautiful daughter-in-law. It's a bit uncomfortable. The two went to the ancestral hall on the way. The crowd hasn't dispersed yet. The matchmaker and aunt watched me come over with Su Lian. I couldn't help laughing. I saw you smiling from afar. The man was satisfied. Su Lian lowered her head shyly and did not speak. But judging by this expression, that's pretty satisfying. The matchmaker saw Su Lian like this. I was also happy in my heart. This can be regarded as an explanation to Su Lian's mother. The matchmaker asked curiously, why did you come here so early? Don't help out at home. My aunt didn't leave until noon. And Su Lian raised her head slightly. With a happy face, my man feels sorry for me. Said take me to the town to buy something. Here. The person next to him also turned his head. Especially those women who came with Su Lian. Are full of envy. This man is very interested in Su Lian. Then I took Su Lian to the town. At noon at the end of the month, 2 ox carts came up the village road. An old man at the head watched the people in the ancestral hall get out of the car. Abandon the troubles. Inquire about it. Where is this road far away? We are delivering something to the Lu Dong family. Everyone looked at the old man. Glancing again at the white flour bags on the 2 ox carts. Half a fan of pork. There were also several jars of wine. There is also a fabric that is expensive at first glance. Isn't that road far from Tinklingpur?